Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So today's update day. The servers are down for maintenance and we'll be getting a bunch of new changes. In particular, the Barbarian will be getting a good few damage improvements. Wizard will become pretty much a god, at least in multi-target damage, and getting a significant increase in single-target damage too, but that will be temporary, mind you, and otherwise a few quality of life improvements and bug fixes here and there. Let's cover everything in this video. So we start things off with the Defense of the Moon Dancer. If you were struggling to get I Regret Nothing, where you have to jump into wild space, that should be now be properly able to be obtained. And then Magnetic Attraction. This you may have been struggling with in the Tower of the Mad Mage and Lair of the Mad Mage with Trobriand and Halaster, and also if you're in Exemnant's Reliquary. They're temporarily disabling the damage taken and outgoing damage effects. That is because, yeah, it's broken right now, and when you go to collide, you end up with a debuff that will make it so that you deal significantly less damage. Just be aware that that debuff will still be displayed, but the two gameplay effects have been disabled. They hope to properly fix them in the near future. So if you do get that, don't worry about the icon, it shouldn't reduce your damage. Then we get into the beef of the Barbarian updates. And I've covered all of these in a previous video. This one right here, where essentially, yeah, like 35% damage gain. You can check that for all the details, but essentially, your daily power crescendo will now be a lot better. 500 magnitude increase, spinning strike damage increase, also radius increase, and also a max target cap increase to 15. Trample of the Fallen gone up to 5%. Adamantine strike daily should be better to target. Less of a delay before the damage applies, and an increase to the radius. Avalanche of Steel daily, a damage increase but a decrease to the feat that goes with it, meaning you could run the other feat and not lose too much damage. Barbed Strikes got a stat increase, just beware it will decrease as your stamina decreases. Escalating Rage reworked to now only need 5 stacks, giving you a 25% damage boost on top of your already 25% damage from being in Rage. So you basically gain a 50% damage boost to nearly everything while within Rage. It's pretty crazy. It's just you need to have a little bit of a different rotation as you would with Relentless Battle Rage, which has been changed to no longer decrease the damage bonus from Battle Rage, so that's like a 10% damage gain there already just through that. Impatience got reworked, so now it will cut your cooldowns by 2 seconds every time you enter Rage. Over Penetration changed to now scale from crit strike and crit severity, and will now give you up to 10%. You don't have to have the ratings capped, just as they approach the cap, they will get closer to providing that 10%. So if you're only a few points off, like 1,000, 2,000 from the cap, that's not a big deal. You're barely going to notice any damage loss from that 10%. It's pretty nice. And then you have the Unstoppable Spin feat to go with your Spinning Strike daily power. It's just, yeah, that's going to set you at 50 rage if you have less than it. And it's going to activate that rage and give you a damage bonus of up to 50%. And so it's very nice to just immediately enter rage and be spinning and hitting all the enemies. It's just, I don't know if the cast time's worth spending that much time doing that damage when you could be doing other abilities. For Sentinel slash at will, they slightly decreased the delay before the damage is applied. Now for the Cleric, with the Channel Divinity, the regeneration rate has gone from 25 to 75. That's for Arbiters and also Clerics who are not yet level 11 and choosing a Paragon. Then you go to Fighter, so just some adjustments here. Determination daily, gone up to 40% damage buff. Not sure how useful that is though. And then Tactician's Edge been changed to provide 10% combat advantage and critical strike at full stamina, 5% at no stamina rather than 0% at no stamina, and it's now providing 10% crit strike. Before it only gave 10% combat advantage. So they're basically adding 10% stats to that off crit strike. However, they are reducing vigorous strikes to now only provide 5%. So overall, you will end up with 5% extra stats if you were to use this feature. They basically gave you this feature for free, stuck it on Tactician's Edge, also made it a bit more friendly if you do use stamina, and then gave you the ability to also use this feature to get even more stats. It's pretty crazy on Fighter. You get some pretty good damage early on in the game compared to other classes because of that. But then on Rogue, just some updates here. Bloodbath, damage increased. Dazing Strike will now always be multi-target, have 450 magnitude, and will make your enemies grant combat advantage. Can also apply to control immune targets now. And Deft Strike, just 100 magnitude increase. For the Whisper Knife, Blitz got a small magnitude increase there of 40, and Razor Action will now properly work to hit everybody around you when you cast the daily power. Just once though, and it can now critically hit. Then Enchanters Hex. The big change is coming. Again, I covered all the details to that in this video right here, but I'll discuss that now so you can get a gist of what I mean. But ultimately, it's been changed to 75 magnitude, down from 100. But it can now critically hit, which means it basically got over a 35% average damage increase, which is, yeah, okay then. They basically increased its damage. It has also been reworked to now apply whenever an encounter or daily power with a control effect hits a target. So that's now everything. Before, it was not triggering on these control powers like Icy Raise and Chill Strike on, let's say, a wizard, which are clearly control powers like Stun, Dazes, Roots, etc. They will now trigger it, but at-will powers won't trigger it like Ray of Frost. Daily powers will trigger it. They've changed it so that companion bonuses won't trigger it, mount powers won't trigger it, gear pieces won't trigger it, only encounter powers and daily powers. That is properly working. But it also means that whenever that ability has a control effect and hits the target, it's going to deal 75 magnitude damage. So it doesn't matter if your target is control immune anymore, which means you're beating up enemies, you're going to be dealing a ton of extra damage to them with this, because you can hit everybody with a control ability and deal that extra damage. Just be aware, it's intended Wizard's Chill and Ranger's Grasping Roots do not trigger the bonus attack. Those are class mechanics, not encounter power or daily powers. They have updated some powers here to correctly be tagged as control. But there is a bug right now on the wizard with critical conflagration double triggering Enchanter's Hex. So nearly every ability with control that critically hits and triggers critical conflagration will trigger it twice. You can see all the exact data there, how many times it's triggering. And yes, Arcane Singularity, it's kind of insane. It's now going to deal 23 hits of Enchanter's Hex when it critically hits. We can show you against a boss right here. Now it will work in any boss in any of the dungeons, against any adds, anywhere. You can see when you cast Arcane Singularity and it crits, it's going to trigger Enchanter's Hex 23 times. We can see the log there, wizard outgoing damage, Enchanter's Hex 23 times. It is a bit broken and basically makes Arcane Singularity have a total magnitude of nearly 3,000, making it like better than Ice Knife. A little bit nuts. And again, this is working in any place. We can jump into, let's say, Castle's Retreat here. We are scaled, so our damage numbers will look a little bit smaller, but nonetheless, you can go to cast the daily power. This is 5 enemies here, and there we go. We trigger Glowing Flames and Enchanter's Hex on every single one of those enemies, and they're all dead. Those are elite enemies, like they're intended for against 5 players. And you can see the amount of damage that Arcane Singularity has done just by itself. It's the only ability I cast there. And Enchanter's Hex is basically doubling the damage output of Arcane Singularity. So you're going to, yeah, pretty much be gods in multi-target damage if you can be casting that Arcane Singularity. Again, this is temporary. They will be coming out with a fix to critical conflagration and stop it from double activating like this on all these abilities. I reported this to Brett Norton. Yes, I think it should get fixed. It's kind of overpowered in terms of class balance. and they said they reproduced it, so they know it's working like that, and they will see about fixing it. And they may look at reworking the feat. We can see here again, he says they're aware that the issues with the wizard feat, critical conflagration, and they're working on it. Again, that's proccing 23 times on Arcane Singularity. I think it's intended 5 times on Oppressive Force. I think it's fair, to be honest. But then double proccing on all of your encounters, even your multi-target abilities, is very broken compared to other classes, which some cannot even trigger this bonus at all. But again, just keep in mind that's temporary. They will be fixing it. You will be dealing a ton more damage, particularly in multi-target. Feel free to join the Moondancer trial. Run that ability to get action point, spat quickly, and be casting more and more of these, and everything will be melting. It'll be a bit crazy, and you'll probably be able to get through some serious crazy speed runs. But yeah, enjoy it while it lasts. Will probably be until next week. We'll see how things go. The last thing on the patch notes here is the Mythic Premium Mount Bundle update. They've added the Ebon Riding Lizard, the Deadly Drider Form, and the Uni Unicorn account-wide mounts. Let me know where that pack is, because I don't know it. Mythic Premium Mount Bundle. This could just be a Zen Market mount pack you can buy. Ultimately, Barbarians should really enjoy their improvements to damage. You should definitely see some raw damage increases. If you literally change nothing else and just continue to use Relentless Rampage, you should still see overall 10% damage increase. You can use your Raging Strikes ability and end up with a 15% damage increase there as well when your rage is full. Otherwise, playing around with some extra cooldown reduction. So, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.